Hi, all. The topic I chose for our Share the Wealth assignment was the topic of ninth grade in relation to dropout rates. And this topic really interests me because at my current online charter school, this is continues to be a challenge for us, and I feel like we not only face the challenges that typical brick and mortar schools face in regards to ninth grade on track, but we probably experience an even more challenging situation in regards to students who come to us from brick and mortar, um, because those students are often seeking us out as a last resort, and they're typically kids who maybe have had difficulty in a brick and mortar school, or it's not a good fit for them, or whatever the case may be. And so we find that those kiddos typically are often behind already when they come to us. The other reason that the topic really interests me in regards to my school is that even though I'm a K-8 licensed teacher and I teach elementary classes typically, and in the past, I've pretty much only taught elementary students. But in the model that I work in, we are advisory teachers for students that are K-12. And I get to know this group of students and their families better than I ever got to know my students and families when I worked in brick and mortar school. We work with them one on one and work with their families one on one, and then we also stay with them from year to year. So some of the teachers at my school have been with their advisory students for years, and they've walked alongside their families from elementary school all the way through graduation. So, as you can imagine, we develop a really strong relationship with these students, and the motivation to see them succeed is even stronger. Our school has put into place some strategies to catch these kids early and make a difference. The first thing that we had tried last year, in addition to developing a relationship with the students, is that we tracked our eighth graders, and we sent those eighth graders communication regularly stating the successes that we were seeing and cheering them on, and encouraging them. And then also, kind of in that communication, if they were falling behind, just say, hey, I see that you didn't turn in an assignment in this class. What can we do to help? And so we set up student support plans for some of those kids where we can get them counseling support or academic tutoring, and things like that. And last year was, like I said, the first year we officially tried that. And it did make a difference. We had 95% of our eighth grade students heading into high school on track and passing all their classes. And the idea is that we'll continue to monitor this same group of kids as they transition into high school next year. But we do continue to see patterns in our school that indicate when a student is behind in ninth grade. It's an indicator for graduation. And, like I said, it's more typical for a student that is struggling and possibly more apt to drop out if they've come to us already behind, rather than some of our students that have been with us for years. But sometimes that happens as well. And as you can imagine, it becomes really personal for us, and the drive to see those students become more successful, or become successful graduates is really strong. And when I was looking into this topic, I started to Google it before I read our resources that we had laid out for us. And I actually found plenty of information, mostly in the Chicago and Philadelphia schools. But as I read more, I learned that those were very specific to those districts, and the research company was hired by this district to do that research. So I continued on to the resources that were provided to us in Canvas, and went to a review of educational research, and I had to type in several related topics to kind of get what I was looking for. And I finally came across an article which focuses on data that suggests that ninth grade is a crucial time in which a student will graduate or drop out within 6 years. And it's also summarized the long-term effects of dropout on the lives of the students, most of them coming from mostly urban schools, which is a little bit different than my situation. But the summary concludes that even though experiences that ninth graders bring with them, as far as demographics and family life and previous school experiences and things like that, is taken into account. It's not exactly or simply why they're dropping out, but the data suggested that there were certain points in students' academic careers that can reshape the path that they're on to graduation. And if a student cannot navigate these difficult times in that journey, they're more likely to drop out. And ninth grade is one of those crucial years. So it was really interesting to read about it and the data, and it actually really encouraged me to try to continue with our efforts at my school to change that trajectory for those students that are more likely to drop out. And hopefully I can do a little more research on it and find some better strategies even than what we're using. So hopefully it'll be interesting for you too. Thanks.